you know Stepford Housewives, that movie? That was based on the town I grew up in. A lot of like very wealthy moms, and a lot of kids that did a lot of drugs. It was a lot of drugs, hardcore. So everyone was like, great cars. I had this like little beat up, I had this like super old Mercedes, 1988. The doors wouldn't open. It's a sunroof. I had to climb in and out. I had no radio. I had a boom box I would travel with. So I didn't fit in very well there, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
The old boom box like we saw in the TV shows and movies. I had a little black, like, tiny boom box that I would always put tapes in and whatnot back in the day.
Remember when beat was cool? Like when the amps in the back you put in your trunk and they were like so loud. Yeah. That was the hottest thing in the town. It was
in the Jetta.
Yep.
People would love that.
Boom, boom. It was like, but yeah.
Did you have a big family growing up? Like siblings, mom, dad around?
I had my mom. I have an older sister who's my complete opposite. My dad left when I was 8, but he moved back recently, so that's fun. We get to now, like I know him now, we're reconnecting, we hang out. He's very funny, so small family. You know, I have an uncle, but I don't really talk to him. We haven't talked to him in a long time. So, yeah, small.
How much do you think your dad leaving impacted you as a child?
Oh, a bunch. It's a big factor because I was also in martial arts for since I was 4, and that was like our thing. So that was right on when I just quit, you know. So yeah, a lot.
What kind of martial arts? Like karate or something more extreme?
Karate. I've done a lot now. I used to teach. So Shaolin Kempo, Ludokan Kempo, regular boxing, grappling a little bit, jiu-jitsu, some judo. Judo wasn't really. It's all like, to me it's like self-defense. So if you have to wear a gi and you got to use it to bring someone down, in real life you're not gonna have a gi. Like no one's gonna have a gi in real life. So I didn't really like that. But the rest of them, yeah. I was supposed to be. My whole goal, my dream when I was a kid was to be the female Jet Li. That was it. And a stand-up comedian. So I was always a weird kid, you know?
Yeah, so you're pretty badass. Don't fuck with you. I did a little Tiger Showman's karate and grappling growing up. Grappling, kickboxing, and I did boxing recently. I'm not really an athletic type kid. I was a theater nerd. I did the musicals all 4 years of high school. On the 48, we might actually get stuck with me. It's possible. If we have a musical, if we have to make one, so now I know who to call. Like, you're in it. No. Those years are well behind me. Actually, when I got arrested, I was in my cowboy boots because they needed to put me in shoes without laces. So those are in my closet from when I was in Annie Get Your Gun. So they had me put those on.
That's very cool.
It was pretty funny. When you were in high school and growing up, what do you think people would describe you as if we had like your closest friend here with us today from that time?
Oh, man. I was super artistic. I did plays and stuff. Love that. But I was also a big troublemaker. I have like, they said I had like ODD, which is like oppositional defiance disorder. So I didn't really get along with the teachers. And obviously I'm very gay, so people were a little rough, but I did go to a Catholic school before that, so it was like easy. But yeah, I was kind of, I was a little bit of a rebel, I'd say. I would just walk out of school if I wanted to. I just did not care, you know?
Wait, you just said it was easy to be in Catholic school?
No, it was easier to be in the public school rather than because I went to an all-girl Catholic before that.
That must have been tough.
That was, like, Catholic schoolgirls, oh my God, psychologically, they will just, write it. So when I went to, like, they will get to you, but in public school, it was more so physical. So to me, I was like, that's it, dude. Like, that's it. Like, that's really, you know what I mean? So it wasn't that bad for me. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine being in an all-girls school at that age. I mean, kids are mean, and in that setting, they're probably even meaner.
Oh yeah, and all the teachers were nuns. Married to Jesus, which is okay. That's totally cool. But like, they didn't like me because of the way I dressed and looked. Because they just knew. They knew I was gay. Everyone knew it.
And did you know you were back then?
Yes. I came out in 2nd grade.
Oh, wow.
To my mom. I didn't know how to pronounce it. I was like, I'm a lesbian. And she was like, sweetheart, we all know. Okay. Like, I came out of the womb. I have a picture of me like 3 years old. I had like a beater tucked into these like jeans, like hiked up high with a belt. My hair was super short. Like, I was just a little lesbo since the beginning. So
Was your mom supportive?
She was always supportive. My dad, iffy. But now he is. You know, he's a Mormon. He's very conservative. So he'll say some stuff like, "Listen, I don't like gay marriage, but you can get married." I'm like, "That's not the same, Dad. That doesn't work that way." So,
why do you think your parents still put you in a Catholic school, knowing that you'd probably have a hard time?
I think just for the education purposes. Like, my mom wanted us to have my sister was super smart. So I feel like she wanted to send her there because, you know, I was this sister. I had to go with her. But we ended up getting kicked out of there. So
you both got kicked out?
They asked politely for us to leave because there were rumors going on that I had bars on my windows. Like, people thought I was like a witch or something. Like, it was terrible.
They thought you were a witch?
Yeah, like they were like, "Oh my God, she's a criminal." I'm like, "What?" Then there was a rumor I pushed a nun down the stairs. I was like, "Where did that happen?" Out of nowhere. I was like, "What?"
Yeah. So you were like the outcast.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time.
How do you think that affected you mentally at that age?
A lot. Because I got bullied a lot there, you know, but which is a lot worse in public school. Like I said, I did get my first fist fight in Barrington with a boy because I had two boys. They experimented with men. They're like, "Let's just bring two boys in, just two boys." And one of them, John A and John B. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna say the last names. I was in second grade, first fist fight. That was when it started. My mom got called in, and after that, it was like they just wanted me out. But so, yeah, being in a tough school and stuff kind of makes you a little sick of being bullied, you know?
Yeah. Now, you said they were diagnosing you with some behavior type disorders. Mm-hmm. Do you think that was accurately diagnosed, or do you feel like when you're young like that, they kind of just throw stuff out there and you don't really have a chance to say that's not true, or maybe that was just a feeling in the moment and not a permanent thing? I
think that there are a lot of, I was diagnosed with like OCD, a lot of different things, but I think there are some diagnoses. They just, because I was in special education because of my OCD and my ODD, I think it's absolutely overdiagnosed because maybe people just don't want to listen. And like, teachers can be nasty, so once you fight with them once, they're like, "Oh boy, that's it, ODD." Like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it's. I don't really think I have ODD anymore. So I guess it isn't real, or it could be real. I don't want to say anything bad, but you know what I mean.
Did your mom and your parents in general just believe in that diagnosis right off the bat?
Well, my dad wasn't around, but my mom, she believed. Yeah, yeah. I also had to go. The OCD, I had a lot of problems as a kid. A lot of problems, but I'm medicated now, and that's the good thing. So.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of kids out there that are just like thrown on to, meds for behavioral type stuff. Like, I remember dating girls in middle school and high school, and they were just like depression. They're like throwing out stuff to doctors, and they're on all these types of medications. And I wonder like how accurate that is, and if they should actually be on it.
I feel like a lot of therapists and psychiatrists, they're just like, we don't know what to do here, so take some meds. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like if you have to take them, take them. But a lot like hyperactive kids, and then just assuming they have ADD or whatever. Maybe they just don't like the topic. That's it. I'm not saying it's not real. My stepfather is an ADD specialist of Rhode Island, so I gotta be very careful what I say. He diagnosed a lot of people. But yeah, so I think it's real, but if you're a kid, maybe you just don't like it. Maybe you just don't like the class you're sitting in.
Yeah. But how hard was it to transition from private school, an all-girls Catholic school, to public school?
I tried to reduce the bullying because I heard it was like so bad. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, a public school." But I tried to be girly. I tried to play straight for a little bit. It was my straight phase. So I dressed all girly. Went in after like probably like 2 months. I was like, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. But the transition was actually a lot easier. People were just, and I made friends with the bad kids, the bathroom kids. They all hung out and like lit cigarettes in the bathroom. That was like my first go-to. I was like, what's up, guys? All the outcasts. So it's like, I liked it a lot better. A lot better.
Were you like a goth girl, like in that group? That go to Hot Topic or Spencer's and dress?
With Janko jeans or elephant pants. I was in between like ghetto and gothic. I was in that stage. You know what I mean? That emo-y, sagging pants. Like totally thought I loved rap. Like all big gold chains. Man, I just thought I was. I don't know. I wanted to be like a rapper at one. I don't know. I didn't want to talk about it. You know what? So humiliating.
Did you do the gauged ears at all?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They shrunk down though surprisingly, and I'm
really?
lucky. A lot of my friends they like pinched in.
Yeah.
You know when they get too big.
I tried to do it, but I only got to the first level and I gave up. And I'm like, yeah, this is not for me. I wanted to fit into that like skater, emo type group because that was in like 7th, 8th grade.
You want to be a skater boy?
Yeah, I grew my hair out a little bit and then I put blonde highlights in. I looked like a chipmunk. My face was really chubby and it wasn't good.
I wanted to be Justin Timberlake at one point, so I used to be really like big. I used to weigh 208 pounds. So that probably contributed to the bullying. But I wanted to be Justin Timberlake, so I cut my hair and I frosted the tips of my hair. It was humiliating. It was so bad. But I mean, we're all like that in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you make it through high school okay? No issues? It was normal for the most part besides the bullying?
Besides the accident, because I got into it when I was 17.
17. So Take us up until that point in time. You're 17 years old and, your life is, for the most part, normal, and then one thing happens and it changes drastically forever. And I think it's important for, individuals just learned about the people listening just learned about your backstory. You had a pretty normal life minus the bullying, and then all of a sudden something happens. Yeah. And that can happen to anyone.
Yeah, so I was like, do you want to talk about the night of, like what happened?
Yeah, or even how you started your day that day.
Oh, just normal. Went to, I think it was a Saturday. So like we used to all hang out in parking lots of Dunkin' Donuts. That was like where everyone was. So I was just like, we hung out there, and then my girlfriend at the time needed to be dropped off. So I dropped her off at her house. It was like 11 o'clock, I want to say. So I was driving back, and one of my friends, because like racing was like so cool. Everyone was like racing. I wasn't because my OCD. So I have to like turn. I was the dorkiest driver ever. I was like obeying the speed limit. I always have been. My friend like sped in front of me and took a turn. So I'm like laughing. I'm like, okay. Put my blinker on. I turn. And then it all kind of blacks out a little bit. Like I felt glass popping at me. Like I felt the boom boom. I think I hit my head against the window or the steering wheel because of my eye was, I had a concussion. My eye was like half shut. It just was like lazy. Anyways, I pull in, I hear a big bang. I kind of like black out a little bit, or either emotionally or physically. I remember sitting in the car and they were just screaming, like people just screaming. So my friends start banging on the window. At this point, like my ears are like bing. When you're about to pass out and your ears go bing, and I'm seeing like dots, but I'm just like gripping the steering. I have no idea what happened. My friends ran over. They're like, "Oh, it wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault." I was like, "What wasn't my fault?" And then they're like, "You hit somebody," like, or they hit you because they think that it was. I don't want to like, in case they're listening, I don't want to make it seem like But I was turning, and I guess they went up on the sidewalk. People say that he didn't have headlights on. I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, up on the sidewalk, bounced off my car, hit the windshield, and then fell off of it. So that's what they were telling me.
And he was on a motorcycle.
Yeah. People were saying he wasn't wearing a hat. Like there was his people, because he was riding with a few people, they were screaming, they're like, you killed him, he's dead, you're an idiot, like screaming at me. I was just really confused. I was so confused because in my mind I'm like, no. I was a kid.
And you were completely sober.
Oh yeah. I didn't do anything. I didn't drink. I didn't smoke because I would panic too much. Mm. So, yeah, sober, everything. Police show. I remember looking back, and I swear to God he was sitting up. But I guess that can happen too. Like you can have a big brain injury and still be able to kind of like coherently sit up. So I think mentally I was really clung on that. And I was like, well, at least he's sitting up. He's okay. But still, I just was in this weird state of mind where I just couldn't, like kind of in shock, I guess. Police came. My mom showed up and she saw my face. So she's like, you got to get in the ambulance or whatever. I was like, I want to go home. Because I was just so, I don't know. I can't even express how it felt. I just kept repeating, I want to go home. And she's like, you can't. So I got put on a stretcher or whatever in the ambulance. Then I just remember a bunch of lights and the EMT was like, because I just kept screaming. I was like, I see you right. Because then I heard people saying like he's dying. As I'm like being pushed in the stretcher, I'm hearing like his friends, whatever, being like he's dying, like he's like gurgling or like something like that. So I'm in the stretcher, and and I just kept screaming. I was like, "Is he okay? Is he okay? Is he okay?" And the EMT was like, "We don't know yet." Then it was quiet, and then he's like, "How's your summer?" I was like, "It was good until now." So, but he was very nice to me. Went to the hospital. He was still alive at that point. So, but again, I think I was clinging on to that. So I went home. I had to wear that really uncomfortable neck thing. You know what I mean?
Neck brace?
Yeah, I had to wear it to school. And even then, like, even in school, just didn't hit me. It was almost like it just didn't happen. Like, I woke up, and that was it. My brain was just like, nope. It was almost like my brain was trying to protect me. That it was just like, we're just going to shut it down right here. You're not going to remember anything. Not yet.
Did he go to that school?
No.
Was he older or younger?
He was older. I think he was 20-ish. I don't want to say. They didn't tell me much because I was, because after I found out that he died, I was like in a bad state. So, we don't really talk about it. I haven't discussed it publicly. My mom doesn't talk about it with me that much. So yeah.
And did the cops talk to you up until that point yet when you went back to school or not at all?
So, so when I found out, they didn't talk to me on the scene at all.
That's
like
a little
at all.
Strange, right?
Yeah. But they talked to me a whole lot after. But I'll go from when I found out that he died. No one really told me. I read in the newspaper. And because I was all over the newspaper, because I was 17, they couldn't say my name, but it's like they made it all my fault. It was all my fault. I was recklessly driving. I didn't use my blinker. I whipped into the parking lot. I hit him head on. And again, I'm not going to point any fingers because I don't want to speak ill of the dead, So it's like, I don't know. I like I said, I blacked out. I just don't remember that part, which sucks. But anyways, yeah, I had a lot of problems with the cops after all the in and outs of court because I was in, out. And the cops decided that they wanted to make sure that my license got taken because before that, his parents wanted to sue my mom for $500,000, and they also wanted to be charged for manslaughter. But their agreement with my lawyer was if I plead guilty to like negligent driving, and if I met them in person, they wouldn't sue my mom or go after for manslaughter or anything like that. Because I was like, my lawyer scared me. He was like, "You're facing 5, years." He's like, "So if you want to fight this for 5 years when they could potentially just say no and throw you in jail. He's like, do you want this? Do you want to come back to court for 5 years, like over and over? And they said mentally it was best for me just to move on from it.
And they never took a statement from you at the scene?
Nope.
Nothing? Not even did they take witness statements from anyone?
They did. Okay. I think they took his witness statements. I don't remember them approaching any of my friends.
Even afterwards, they never approached your friends?
I'm trying to remember. They could have after I was in the ambulance, but I don't remember talking to them. All they said to me, what I remember is like, license, registration, blah, blah. And they were like, where's your mother? You might want to call, not your mother, your parents might want to call somebody. And then they just walked away from me and they were just all over there. So my mom showed up. It was like just me and a couple of my friends that were trying to explain to her what was going on. But
maybe it was an age factor, which is why they didn't talk to you.
That's possible.
Because you were 17, maybe she could have talked to you. They could have talked to your mom, and she shut it down.
It's possible, very possible.
What was going through your mind being 17 and seeing yourself all over the paper in a negative light?
I was kind of. No one asked me what happened. No one asked me. They just went on and just publicized this stuff without even asking me what happened, my point of view. And everyone knew it was me because there were so many people there. But yeah, it was kind of like I didn't really know how to think. I was just like, my whole life is like done. That's like how it went in my mind. But
life is still moving around you and going on, which is it's an interesting concept. Like these traumatic things can happen to an individual and life is still going. Like it doesn't just stop, it doesn't pause. It just keeps moving.
Yep, and that was like I feel like I was stuck in time and everyone was just doing their thing. Yeah.
Were kids picking on you or giving you a hard time because of what happened?
Mm-hmm.
And did people know that it was you, even though they weren't saying your name in the papers?
People knew it was me because word spreads fast in that school. I at first, because I have PTSD, I didn't know what literally meant post-traumatic. So when my brain shut it down, and then it just hit me. And then I started realizing, I was like, everyone's looking at me funny in the hallways. My friends are being like weird with me. They're not really wanting to talk to me or hang out with me. Then they started screaming like murder. Not my friends. My friends, I'll get to that after. But yeah, people were screaming like murder at me in the hallway. I remember I had a gym teacher, and she came up to me randomly and she was like, so, how does it feel? And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, killing him. She's like, he was a really good kid. And I was just like, okay. Yeah. So there's a lot of those kind of moments. And then, of course, people would be calling on my friends, like telling them to ask me like how I sleep at night, all that stuff. And then, because I was, I was very, at that point, I was very quiet. I was getting a lot of death threats. Supposedly, like, his people were had guns and they were gonna come after me. So, I was staying at my girlfriend at the time's house. She wasn't helpful. She was cheating on me at the time. So, yeah, but even people would contact her and they'd be like, ask her this and this. And I'm like looking at her, and I'm like, why are they saying that? She's like, well, they're entitled. No, yeah, she was like, people are going to say things. And then even my friends were, not the ones that were there, not my close ones, but my close ones that were on the outside circle. They were like, well, everyone's entitled to their own opinions. And that was like a kick in the face,
Did your friends stay supportive after it made the papers and people found out what happened, or did you see some of them start to distance themselves from you?
Well, the ones that were there, that saw it, were still my friends. The other ones kind of, because I was so no one wanted to be around me at that point, and yeah, they kind of separated.
What's something you wanted people to know while that was happening? While the people were being mean to you, teasing you, giving you a hard time, what was going through your mind that you wish you could have told people at the time?
My saddest story, you know, because I have like OCD, and I know that my driving was, I always use my blinker, even when I'm pulling into a parking spot. Like I was weird like that. I was a little weirdo growing up. In fact, after the accident, I had to get a medical because I was in special ed. So I had to get a medical because it took me 2 hours to get to school because I would just do perpetual circles to make sure I didn't hit anything. Because when I was driving, I would hear like screaming. I'd hear random bangs. I had to pull over my car, get out of my car, you know, walk around it. And I just started, it just became really, I like to call it my OCD. It just went in a circle, and I just would drive and drive. And then each time I went around, it was like I thought I hit something new. Had to do another lap. Up, something else, another lap. And like I never hit anything, but it was just like my brain was just clinging onto it, you know?
Was there someone for you to talk to, like a therapist or a counselor, or someone that was there for you in that capacity?
I tried to talk to a therapist. I've had them growing up my whole life. I've had like 13 of them since I was like 8. But I remember one in particular that literally, because I wouldn't talk about it. And the whole thing was for me to talk about it. So he would just keep pushing and pushing. And I would just keep changing the subject. Like, let's talk about you. You know what I mean? And eventually he was like, I can't help you anymore. And I was like, what do you mean you can't help me? He's like, I can't help you. You won't talk about it. You won't, you know, I don't know what to do with you. I really can't help you. And I think it's not useful if you keep coming here. And I got mad because I was a teenager. And I was like, I flipped him off and walked out. That was the end of that. I was looking for groups, people that, you know, went through that experience. There were none. I was too embarrassed that if I went to a group, people would know me and like argue with me about it. Then I heard from one of my friends that one of her neighbors got into an accident with a motorcyclist and they died. So we were scheduled to meet to talk, but then he killed himself.
Wow.
So I was kind of a little bit alone at that point.
Did you have any thoughts of self-harm going during that time period?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably, yeah. I mean, probably not. It's kind of, I feel like it would be a natural thing for anybody to kind of question their own, you know, mortality, because it's like, because you always think to yourself, you're like, am I going to go to hell? You know what I mean? So it's like your whole existence is just questioned. It's their whole life.
Did you think about thoughts of what you could have done differently? And when I mean differently, it's more like if I did something different during that day, like didn't go out, didn't pick up my friend, or made a turn or made a wrong turn or something which would have altered the time, would that situation still happen, or would it have happened with someone else? Because those are thoughts like I always play through my mind with scenarios.
Yep.
Like if something was just even a couple minutes off, or the outcome could have changed drastically.
I'm like, why did I get a coffee? Like, why did I want a coffee? It was late at night. Why would I want a coffee? You know? I just shouldn't, I don't know why. I don't drink coffee to this day. So, yeah.
Oh, you don't drink coffee to this day? Because of that, you've never had a coffee since?
Yeah. I mean, of course I've like had a sip of black coffee when I really needed some energy, but I don't like drinking coffee. I don't like going to Dunkin' Donuts. I don't like going to any coffee places. So,
yeah, I always think about like, you know, whether you're running out of gas at a certain time, or traffic, or this, or getting a phone call, or running late, if that prevents you from, like that's the universe telling you that you have to do this way, don't get frustrated, follow it this way, because it could avoid something else from happening. Yep,
and that was one of the big things that I had. I was really angry at like the universe, kind of, because I was like, why? You know what I mean? I just didn't, I was so young. I just couldn't comprehend it at that point. So I was just, I got like, I went through those stages. I got like super angry. And then I got sad, and then etc.
You said you were going to court. Did you end up getting arrested or charged with anything?
No, but they wanted to. But then the parents stepped in and they were like, if she meets us, if we meet her, we won't do anything. So, but I had to plead guilty for I think it was negligent driving. And I remember seeing the judge, and he said something like he's like, I don't want to do any more damage. So I'm just going to send you these classes. No one sees classes, like 4 other kids there, and they were like drag racers. They were like, oh my God, dude, I hit like 115, blah, blah. I'm like looking around and I'm like, what? I don't understand why I'm here. And then the TV went on, and it was just all footage of like real accidents. And it wasn't like YouTube. It wasn't like blurred out or just really quickly chopped down. No, it was like motorcycle accidents, a lot of them. And smushed. Their faces were just, their brains were spewing out, their eyeballs were popping out, like really graphic stuff. So I had to sit through that for a couple of days. So that wasn't really fun either. But
so this was, since you were 17, did this all get expunged or like sealed on your record?
Yeah.
So if someone were to search for it, it wouldn't even come up.
Right.
And after that happened, what was it like to meet with his parents? And why did they want to meet with you?
I don't really know. I think that when it was me and my mom, and they came in the room, and the first thing his father said, sorry, I'm a little emotional about it, was he was like, I just really want to see the face of the person who killed my son. So that hurt a lot. But yeah, I just kept saying I'm sorry for your loss over and over. And then the mom hugged me, and she was like, I want you to move on from this and do something big with your life and be somebody. Live for 2, she said. So, sorry, I'm not trying to cry on your podcast, man.
No. You're not the first, and you won't be the last. There's some tissues right there.
Oh, Alan's gonna get mad because I ruined my makeup. Uh-oh.
Why, did he do the makeup for you?
She did it, yeah.
Oh,
she did my makeup. But
Oh, yeah. I thought you said Alan, and then
I call her Alan. This is my nickname. Her Alan? Yeah, I call her the
really?
short one, the little one. She's my best friend.
Okay.
So yeah.
Alan, she's okay with that?
Oh, she loves it.
But
she doesn't love it. But
okay. You guys are an interesting group out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very supportive, though. That's
cool.
They're
very supportive. I'm thankful for that. I don't even think even they know all the details of it. So, yeah, they're listening right now. So,
have you talked about it since opened up with anyone after you had that closure of talking to his parents?
Yeah, I've had those drunk cry sessions where you just burst out and yell it a lot. I still have them all the time. So, yeah.
How does it make you feel when you see on the news of like the individuals that cause an accident where, they are speeding, or you see the drag racers where someone loses a life because they're going 120 miles an hour, or that newlywed couple where the wife died on her wedding because there was a drunk driver that ran into it. And you look at all of these things and, is there something going through your mind when you see that, knowing that, yours wasn't like that at all, but it was portrayed in the kind of the same light by your community?
Yeah, I get kind of mad about it because I'm like, what? Like that's bad, drunk driving. Like they messed up, but at the same time, I also know that they're probably being punished enough. Their own mind's probably punishing them a lot. So depending on the situation, if they like really like drunk driving, that's But sometimes I feel bad because I know what that burden is like. So.
Does it ever go away, the feelings that you've experienced?
Nope.
And how do you cope with them? How do you move forward? What keeps you going?
I just pack it in, I pack it in. I just try not to think about it, but I think about it every single day. So, and I still have a problem driving. I didn't even get into the police and what they did after it, because they were made at things a lot worse. They were just being I had to go to court for that too, to get them away from me, because...
What happened with the police?
So after the accident, they randomly, I don't know why, but it became like their mission was to take my license. So they wanted to catch me doing anything. And it's a small town, so they have nothing better to do. You know what I mean? They can't really find the drugs. People are doing drugs in their houses. So, and I was always driving around. But yeah, so they would follow me from school. There was one parked, and then once I turned my car on, one of them would pull up, and then I'd pull up, and then one would be behind me, and they'd follow me everywhere. I got pulled over for doing 27 and 25 in the middle of the winter, and he was sitting on my hands. I couldn't put a sweatshirt on. They did a search because they told me I'd have to wait for 2 hours for a girl officer. They're like, you don't want to be sitting out here in the cold, do you? And I was like, no. So I let them search me. But they followed me. They pulled me over so many times. And every time I saw them, one time they pulled me over. My mom gave me cookies, a bag of cookies, right? And they got crumbled. I was at the park with my friends, and they pull up with their they used to wear sweaters like Party Patrol, because there was so many parties there. Dorkiest thing ever. I don't know why they wore them, but came out of the woodwork, like out of the bushes with their like bikes or whatever. They're like, oh, Miss France. Oh, fancy to see you here. I'm like, what a surprise, you know? They opened my car, and they found the cookies, and one guy pulls it out, and he's like, oh, you're so screwed. You're so screwed right now. I was like, am I? He's like, oh, you're so done. And I'm like, they're oatmeal cookies. And then his partner was like, smell them. And he did. And he's like, well, next time, you have some full ones in here. And I was like, what, dude? Like, it was just that. And so it got so bad. Even when I was going shopping, they'd wait for me outside, and they'd be like, oh, let me see your license. I'm like, why? You still got it? Oh, what a shame you still got it. The speeding ticket when I was doing 27 and 25, when I went to court, the lawyer was like telling his story. Then and then I told mine, and I had witnesses, and the judge goes, well, I have an officer telling me a story. I'm going to believe him. Like he's his own, like he doesn't need you know what I mean? It was just like not really fair. And then, because the officer kept being like, it has nothing, I don't even know about our accident. I don't even know. However, afterwards, I'm walking out, and he's like, we just don't want to hurting anybody else, Your Honor. And I was like, okay. So my mom is an attorney, so she had to go into court and tell a judge that they were just stalking me. They were just stalking me. And yes, the judge had to tell them to leave me alone. At that point, we changed my license plate, and then we moved to East Greenwich to get away from it, because they were just really bad. So yeah, they were not very nice. Not very nice.
Why do you think they were so hard on you? Do you think that in their mind they had already made up that you were the guilty party of that accident, and they made it their mission to come after you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because the articles, I mean, they were just all, she was speeding and didn't put her blinker on, and just all this like stuff. And so they probably read it. Yeah, and they just hated me. So maybe they even knew the parents. I don't know. But
how did that make you feel about police in general and law enforcement as you got older? Do you have like a chip on your shoulder about it, or have you been able to move past that aspect of it?
Well, that town, those cops, no. I don't think I'll ever, I haven't driven there, and I barely drive now, but I haven't gone down there in years. I'm going to avoid that place because they're probably still officers. I like police officers. They can be kind of cool. Some of them cannot be. And so I'm very cautious when I talk to any police officer now. And I'm always afraid that they'll look at my license and recognize me or something like that. But yeah, so I don't really hold a grudge, because I know there are cool ones out there somewhere. But yeah, so I don't like to hold grudges. unless it's them. I just don't want to go back there.
When you do see police misconduct on TV, are you more understanding of that it is real and it does happen because of the situation you were in?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Because there are some people that believe that, it can't be the police. They do nothing wrong. Like, they're all good. Yeah. And that's not necessarily the case. There is a wide level of corruption out there. It does happen. It is very real.
Oh, yeah. And they could be really nasty, too. And they abuse their power. And yeah, that's why I had to leave. Police shouldn't bother people so much that they have to leave. Because how could you, I'd have to hit like 25 exactly. Like 27, 25. One time my friend was eating a lollipop and he's like, oh, is that Coke? Oh, Steph, you have Coke in your car? I'm like, why is there Coke in a lollipop? Like, why would that even be a thing? Like, that's how they were trying real hard to catch me with something. Yeah.
Did the friends that you lost because of this ever come back into your life?
We're friends on Facebook. We don't talk much. I have a friend that she lost her sister shortly after in not a motorcycle, just a car accident. And I guess her sister got ran off the road. And I remember hearing all around school, they're like, everyone thinks it was you. So, but I don't think she believes it. She's my friend on Facebook, and she's never been mean to me. So I don't think it came from her,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I was going through my stuff, I lost a ton of people who I thought was my friend, who kind of talked badly about me. And now that my life has changed, they're starting to kind of weasel their way back in. Yep. But I'm wiser now and know not to do that. And it's always funny. You see how the support shifts, especially on social media. 1 second they're bashing you when you do something wrong, and then the next second when you're back on top, they're all in your good graces.
Yep, because, I'm making films now, and they're winning a lot of stuff. And now everyone's like, oh, hey, Steph. And I'm like, oh, hi, how are you?
Now, if you had a daughter right now and she was going through something similar, what would you say to her in those moments to kind of help her navigate through it?
That's tough. I'd probably say don't kill yourself, first off, and that things get better, eventually. I mean, you always think about it, but you handle it better. You learn. It's kind of try to move on as best you can. That's, yeah.
Is there something you wish your mom had done differently to help you get through it now that you're older?
Not really.
Looking back on it?
Not really, because it got so bad. I was so distraught for so long that my mom, who's lover, she's awesome. She actually did me a favor because I was crying because once I moved to East Greenwich for 4 years, I didn't have any friends. It's like everyone just kind of really vanished. Like I still had my good friends, but it just dwindles. So I was by myself for 4 years, by myself. Like I read a bunch of books, and so she did me a favor. And one time I was upset because I heard someone say something about it through the grapevine, and she just said, she's like, stop crying, knock it off, time to move on. And I think that was just some tough love, and I think that made a big difference because I wouldn't want to be a person who's still, I was about to say still crying over it, but I just did. Still so stuck in it, so that really helped me get out of it.
What about your dad? Did what happened to you help bring him back into your life at all at that time, or was he still kind of distant?
He's still distant because he lived in New Jersey, so I didn't really see him much. He left when I was 9. Yeah, and I saw him maybe once or twice a year.
Do you wish you had that father figure to help get you through that, to be there for you, to protect you?
Sure. And then I find out literally probably 3 years ago, probably 4 years ago, he told me, oh, the I think it's sergeant or captains, with my good buddies, my frat buddies or something like that. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah. Why didn't you tell me they were picking? I would have went right to him. And he's like, I spoke to him, and he's like, oh, That's your daughter? I wish you told me. I would have left her alone. I'm like, dude, you know? But yeah.
Have you and your dad had a conversation in depth about what happened?
Not really. We don't really talk about it. I just don't really talk about it much. Still.
Well, you're doing a great
I'm
job
doing it
today.
right now. Yeah.
Does it feel good being able to talk about it openly?
Yeah, it feels good because I really want other people to know, because that guy killed himself and the thoughts there, and I didn't have a community or like anything like that. So anybody else is going through it, I'm like, I just want to let them to know. I want them to know don't do anything stupid. It'll get better. A little, it's still tough. It'll always be tough, but it gets better.
Now, when you meet someone new, say like in your scenario, a girlfriend, when you're getting into a new relationship, what's it like to share the trauma from the past with that new person and let them in? Because, part of getting into a relationship is the other person needs to understand why you operate a certain way, why you tick a certain way. And a lot of that has to do with your past and your trauma. And that as we get older, we realize how we have to handle it and share that with others. What has that been like for you? If at all, you've been able to open up to someone about it?
I had an ex that a girl that I dated after the accident. Not helpful. Actually, her friends were like threatening me, and she just let it happen. And her thing was, again, they're entitled to an opinion. As I grew older, though, my girlfriend now, super supportive, and she loves to drive. So it's like we're a match. Like it works because I hate driving now, still. So she loves it. She's always like, I want to cruise. I'm like, good, perfect. I'll just sleep in the passenger. Like that works. So she's super supportive, which I'm grateful for because I didn't want to tell her. I told her again, like especially if you have a couple of wines, get a little talkative, then and usually it was like I had a reminder of it somewhere. Like a motorcycle would pass by, or I saw someone on TV about a motorcycle accident, and then I would just like kind of blurt it out. But yeah, I'm lucky. She's super supportive. So yeah.
No, something I've learned in life and just talking to individuals on the show is that the worst things that happen to us turn out to be the best things, and they have a reason for why we experienced that and went through that. Reflecting back on it now, why do you think that happened to you?
I think I have a lot of messages that I need to say. And I think if I didn't talk to his mom, I don't think I would have been so driven to, help people and to make films with really good messages. I just don't think I would have had the drive. So, I don't want to say everything happens for a reason because I hate using it in this situation because I wish it didn't happen. But it put me on a certain line that is good, because I wouldn't have had the gumption or even the idea really to start making films.
Yeah, it's a tough crossroad. Like I think about, my past and you think about your past and you're like, I really wish that didn't happen, but how can I take that back when I have this now?
Yeah. And
you apply that to everyone who shares such a traumatic story. And, it's tough. It's a crossroads because you don't want to say that it's okay that happened. But at the same time, if you take that away out of your life, you're not the same person you are now. You don't have the people around you that you have now. And life is just different. So it's such a big part of us, and those bad times are important.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, I feel like I would have been a massive troublemaker if I didn't have this kind of set me on a path where I was like, all right, I got to be someone big now. I got to do something big. So it helped me in a way, but did not at the same time.
Well, Steph, thank you so much for trusting me with your story today. And thank you for sharing and best of luck in your film career. Looking forward to seeing some of your work. We'll have your links in the description of this episode. And I wish you the best.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.